Divine favor manifested. 7 miraculous truths about how God smiles at you every day. Martha stood in the quaint little village church, the air filled with the scent of fresh flowers and the soft glow of candlelight. Each Sunday, her voice soared like a hymn, sharing stories of unshakable faith with the congregation. When life feels hopeless, I call upon St. Jude. He hears our cries, she would declare, her hands open wide as if to embrace the very heavens. People would nod, their hearts warmed by her unwavering belief, ignited by what felt like divine energy swirling around them. But today was different. Her heart felt heavy, but could it be the weight of her faith carrying her? Just days before, she had learned that her sweet grandson, little Oliver, only 8 years old, was declared beyond help by the doctors. A cancer that no miracle seemed capable of curing. In that moment, despair crept like shadows into the corners of her heart, chilling her spirit. If only she could summon St. Jude to intercede. The whispers of worry began to spread through the village like wildfire. Yet they didn't keep faith at bay. No, instead, they rallied around Martha, enveloping her family in fervent prayer. The village seemed to pulse with the echo of hopeful murmurs, each prayer like a piece of string pulling them together. But deep down, Martha felt a flicker of doubt. Then came the renowned healer, a man with stories of miraculous cures who was said to have an aura of divine light. Martha's heart raced, a mix of hope and skepticism battling within her. Should she entrust her precious grandson to this man or hold steadfast to her faith? In a moment of desperation, she urged her family to seek the healer's aid. They gathered around, eyes bright with glimmers of hope, but as they witnessed the healer's methods, her heart sank. His hands seemed to hold not blessings but tricks that left Oliver rooted in pain, the weight of their expectations bubbling up as disillusionment flooded the room. Rumor of their misfortune rippled through the village. Murmurs of disbelief mixed with sorrow hung thick in the air. At the planned midnight prayer vigil, the church became an arena of heart-wrenching pleas. Villagers gathered, their faces illuminated by flickering candles, lifted voices united in fervor, cries echoing toward the heavens, each amen, resonating like a heartbeat in the stillness of the night. Martha, surrounded by family and friends, felt the collective strength of their faith. Just as she cried out for God's hand to touch Oliver, a moment unprecedented happened. Martha witnessed a flicker of life ignite in Oliver's fragile body, a pulse of warmth spilling forth as if a divine presence had enveloped him. "Look, did you see that?" someone whispered, awestruck. Hope surged, palpable like the morning sun beaming on a dewy meadow. The spirit of revival danced through the church, and in that instant, all felt the powerful reminder of divine grace. Martha's heart swelled with thanksgiving, believing in the reality of miracles manifested before their very eyes. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Past victories and newfound miracles began to birth tales of transformation that rippled through the community. Martha, her faith reignited, became a beacon of hope, whispering of God's grace in the daily routines, inspiring others to believe and watch for divine favor. Yet, as she embraced this miraculous recovery, she wandered into contemplation. Was this miracle just the beginning? Or was there a steeper hill of trials yet to be climbed? Shadows lingered, and with her heart full of hope, an unsettling question echoed within her. What challenge awaited her on this newfound path of faith? As dawn broke over the village, a gentle light spilled through the stained glass windows of the church. Martha sat quietly in a pew, her heart a mosaic of joy and apprehension. The warmth of the morning sun bathed her in soft gold, yet doubt fluttered at the edges of her mind. Praise had erupted in the aftermath of Oliver's flicker of life, but the lesson of faith was rarely without its trials. Each day of Oliver's recovery felt like a delicate dance with the divine. As his laughter began to return, so too did the anxious whispers in Martha's spirit. The villagers rejoiced, sharing stories of answered prayers and miraculous transformations. Yet Martha knew that the journey was not complete. In her heart, she felt a gathering storm could their faith weather whatever challenges lay ahead. At the onset of that week, a shift occurred. News spread that a child in a neighboring village had succumbed to an illness seemingly similar to Oliver's. The heartbreak was palpable. People's voices fell to hushed tones as they gathered in pity, the kind that crumbles hope. Martha felt that familiar chill return, coiling around her heart like a vine choking out the bloom of faith. She thrust her hands skyward in desperation. Lord, don't let our hopes slip away. Days turned into sleepless nights filled with prayers and pleading, as Oliver began to have painful episodes of weakness. Each bout seemed to steal some joy from the pockets of hope that had gathered like treasures. She held him close, this tiny miracle wrapped in a quilt of love and prayer. And in those moments, she realized her deepest fear was her faith not enough to heal him. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, Martha made her way to the church for a moment of solitude. She knelt before the altar, feeling the cool stones beneath her knees, a tangible connection to those who had prayed in this sacred space before her. Tears slid down her face as she whispered to the heavens, "Help me understand. Lord, how do I reconcile this miracle with the fear that lingers?" Suddenly, she felt a presence beside her, warm and enveloping. Opening her eyes, she turned to find a familiar face, a friend named Clara, who had come to stand in silent support. Without words, Clara took Martha's hands into her own, squeezing tightly. "You're not alone," she conveyed through shared silence. It was a simple truth, yet it radiated a powerful assurance. The strength of their community surrounded them like a protective embrace. Together, they prayed, voices intertwining in a melody of faith, reminding Martha of the verses that spoke of God's unwavering love. It was in this moment that she felt a flicker deep within her, a rekindling of the very faith she had shared with her church. More villagers began to gather, hearing the call of hope ringing out like a bell echoing into the night. Candlelight flickered, illuminating the faces of many who had come to stand with her. They formed a circle of faith, each holding onto one another, unified in their belief that miracles could bridge the divides of doubt. "Martha," Clara's voice rose above the murmurs. "We will lift Oliver together. God's light shines bright, even in entering the darkest valleys." The chorus of amens rose, mingling with the fragrant incense wafting through the air. The flicker grew into a blaze, igniting hearts in the promise of God's unwavering presence. But as Martha embraced this moment of collective strength, the shadow of doubt still hovered. Could faith truly overcome the tribulations woven into their lives? A new wave of understanding washed over her. Miracles are often found not in the absence of hardship, but in the resilience born of love. Little did she know, the greatest test of faith was yet to come, and with it, an unfathomable revelation awaited just around the corner. As the soft glow of dawn crept back into the village, it carried with it the promise of hope, yet a heaviness hung in the air, as palpable as the morning dew. Martha awoke with a new determination, her heart still fraught with concern, but driven by the community's united prayer. Each face she remembered from the night before shone brightly in her memory. Together, they had embarked on a journey that transcended the realms of mere mortal understanding. With Oliver nestled at her side, she felt the small rays of his laughter begin to pierce her uncertainties like the sun breaking through thick clouds. Yet every giggle, every moment of joy, was met with the echo of loss that hovered over the neighboring village. How could life flourish here while sorrow consumed the hearts of others? What she could not see was how love, thriving within their little circle, began to expand beyond its borders. That morning, as she prepared to go about her day, she found herself reconnecting with the villagers, each encounter a gentle reminder of their deeper bond. Old Mrs. Harper, with her frail frame and silver hair, spoke of past struggles and the strength she found in God's embrace. "Martha, dear," she whispered, "faith has a way of not just lifting us, but also carrying us through." Martha drew strength from Mrs. Harper's words, a quiet spark igniting within her. She recalled the gathering of candles, the flickering flames that had symbolized their shared faith, and began to feel that same warmth wrap around her heart. God sees us, she whispered, believing it. He sees our struggles and our strength. But soon, the undercurrents of fear surfaced again. Would this community's faith be theirs alone? Would God's favor shield them from darkness? Or would they, too, be tested sharply by the trials that others faced? As Oliver was brought into town, he waved to those flocking around him, a small figure illuminated by innocence and laughter. The sight brought smiles and whispers of gratitude. But amidst the euphoria, tension wavered in the air. Martha noticed people glancing toward the horizon as if sensing an impending storm. Suddenly, a flurry of voices erupted. A gathering had begun at the village square. Word had spread the mother from the neighboring village had arrived. Her face spoke volumes of sorrow wrapped in determination. It was not just her child's life she mourned. It was her faith threatened by despair. Martha felt her body stiffen. Should she approach? Would her faith be enough to offer comfort? The weight of countless whispered prayers and unshared burdens pushed her forward. It was time to mingle faith with action. "Clara, let us go," she said, urgency tinged with the desire to bridge the gap of pain as they walked towards the gathering. A hush fell over the crowd. Clara squeezed Martha's hand, offering silent courage. The mother stood tall, yet fragile, eyes glistening like the surface of a dark lake, a mix of fear and fragile hope. "We are here, all of us," Martha began, her voice unwavering despite the tremor in her heart. "Your pain is ours. Together, we can find a glimmer of light even in this darkness." As Martha spoke, she noticed a shimmer of understanding in the faces around her. Each person absorbed her words as if they were drops of healing rain, soaking into the dry earth of their worries. The collective embrace formed a new circle, intertwining their sorrows and joys into a tapestry of shared existence. But just as the feeling of unity began to swell, the wind shifted, a tempest brewing beyond the horizon. A distant clap of thunder resonated, shaking the foundations of their newfound resolve. "Martha, look," Clara cried, pointing toward the sky, where dark clouds churned ominously. "What are we to do when the storms of life rage on?" In that moment, Martha was faced with the choice of faith or despair, and she knew her answer was somewhere within the chaos. What could this herald? Would their love and unity offer a refuge, or would it be overshadowed by turbulent trials yet to unfold? Perhaps this was not just an ending, but an invitation to transcend the storm. How would they rise together and reveal their deepest truths about God's favor? The answers remained just beyond their grasp, waiting. The storm clouds loomed ominously, casting shadows over everything that had once felt so warm and bright. Martha's heart raced, but she steadied her breath. The mother before her, standing tall yet trembling, needed strength. "We can face this together," she said softly, trying to imbue hope into the growing uncertainty. The crowd's eyes were fixated on Martha, some fearful, some longing for reassurance. Clara stood by her side, a silent pillar, squeezing her hand in affirmation. "What do we do, Martha? How can we fight this storm?" Her voice quivered, echoing the question that weighed on everyone's mind. For a moment, silence enveloped them, the air thick with tension. Martha dipped her head, allowing her heart to connect with the divine presence she so desperately sought. "Lord, guide us. Show us how to navigate this storm. Remind us of your favor amidst trials," she whispered. As she lifted her gaze, a sudden warmth surged through her, banishing the chill that had threatened to seep into her bones. She felt a flicker of clarity, a thought, a nudge. Perhaps storms aren't just meant to challenge us, but to reveal our strength, our unity, and His unwavering love. Around her, faces began to soften. The lines of worry were still present, but there was a glimmer of resilience awakening within them. "Let us gather together," Martha encouraged, her voice rising with newfound strength. "We will hold each other up through this." With that, a wave of determination washed over the crowd. Neighbors stepped closer, hands reaching out to one another, forming a human chain of shared faith. Every grasp solidified their connection, and the unity they built became a shield against the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Martha led the way, stepping forward to the mother who had summoned them all. "Tell us what we can do. Let us lift your burden," she offered. The woman's face, initially marred with sadness, now shimmered with hesitant hope. "My child is in need of more than just our prayers. He needs our faith to surround him," she began, her voice trembling yet steady. "The storm, it feels unending. But could your hearts help weave a tapestry of prayer that could reach him?" It was a simple plea, yet it bore the weight of countless broken souls. Martha felt the tension crackling in the air. "Yes, we can do that," she affirmed. "Let us lift our voices, raise our prayers as one. Let this gathering become a beacon of hope." From that point they became stewards of faith. Martha led them in prayer, voices intertwined, rising like a melody. As tears flowed freely, hearts softened, and burdens lightened, she stood in awe at the strength of their unity. The dark clouds overhead rumbled and roiled, yet they stood defiant. And then, as if in response, a gentle breeze swept through the square, rustling the leaves of nearby trees. A warmth enveloped them, as though heaven itself was wrapping a divine quilt around their gathering. "Feel that?" Clara whispered, a smile breaking through her earlier worry. "Yes, God's presence is here," Martha breathed, her heart swelling with joy. They were under a sheltering sky, supported by both the love of each other and the grace from above. Suddenly, the thunder rumbled once more, not as an ominous warning, but as a reminder of something greater at work. The villagers' hearts pulsed with a rhythm of faith and unyielding song against fear. Martha felt the stirring within her soul. Something miraculous was about to unfold. What was it that God intended with this gathering? What divine favor was preparing to be revealed? The storm still brewed, but surely now, they would face it with a power that could not be shaken. Would their unity become the fulcrum for transformation? As the collective weight of hope grew heavier, Martha could not help but wonder what awaited just beyond the storm. The winds picked up, carrying the scent of rain and the promise of change. Martha felt the weight of the moment, a gathering of souls, hearts beating as one, yearning for a connectivity that transcended their individual struggles. It was as if time slowed, the world around them fading away, and what truly mattered came into sharp focus. "Listen, everyone," Martha called, her voice rising above the murmurs. "This storm may be fierce, but so is our faith. Just as the tree bends but does not break, we too will stand strong. Our prayers and our love can reach even the furthest corners of despair." With each declaration she made, she could see the lightning of worry etched on their faces. Clara, who had stood by her side, now drew closer, filling the space beside Martha with her unwavering spirit. Together, they raised their arms, a sign of intertwining faith as they prepared their hearts for what lay ahead. The mother, her eyes glistening with both tears and determination, nodded. "I feel your strength," she whispered. "It ignites something within me. Let us pray for the scaffolding of faith to surround not just my child, but every weary spirit amongst us." The villagers echoed her sentiment, spirits rising like the dawn breaking over a shadow-laden land. Martha saw it, a collective heartbeat of hope, rhythmic and pulsating against the impending storm. "We will be a tapestry," she declared, her voice steady and full of conviction. "Each prayer a thread, woven together into something greater than ourselves." As they began to pray, the sound swelled, a chorus of earnest hearts seeking divine presence. Words flowed freely, entwined with emotion, brokenness, and renewed love. The air thickened with their voices, each whisper and cry taking flight, ascending toward heaven with the fervor of 1,000 angels. Suddenly, the wind swirled around them, bringing with it an overwhelming warmth that made them feel light, buoyant. Martha looked up, her heart leaping. Could this be a sign? "Look," Clara exclaimed, pointing upwards. "The clouds, they're shifting." Indeed, just as Clara spoke, the previously heavy storm clouds began to break apart. Light shone through, illuminating the square in golden rays. It was as if heaven had opened its heart to them. The villagers gasped as warmth enveloped them, cascading over shoulders and enveloping one another in divine affection. Martha felt tears prick her eyes as hope settled deep within her. "This is it," she proclaimed. "God is smiling upon us." The villagers fell silent, listening to the whisper of the wind weaving through their midst, carrying the echoes of faith they had sown. A whispered truth, a divine wonder. In that very moment, they grasped the enormity of their gathering. They were not just facing a storm, they were embracing divine grace. Every heart began to expand, a sense of sharing and connectedness manifesting in the brilliance of light above. It struck Martha then, what if the storm was not only a trial but a divine invitation to deepen their bond? A chill ran through the assembled crowd as they began to realize God was in their unity. As the light flooded the square, Martha turned to the mother. "Your child, your prayers, they are being woven into this beautiful tapestry. Are you ready?" "Yes, I am ready," she cried, her voice piercing the silence with vigor. But just as joy surged with renewed strength, a low rumble shook the ground beneath them. Was it thunder or a revelation? A hush fell over the crowd, trembling with anticipation. The light above brightened. The storm still brewed overhead, and in the depths of Martha's soul, a question lingered. What would be revealed in the heart of the storm? A moment of intervention, a divine answer awaited. What awaited them all just on the other side of faith? The rumbling deepened, resonating like a heartbeat pulsing through the earth. Martha clutched Clara's hand tighter, feeling the surge of warmth swirling around them. It was as if nature itself was responding to their gathering, to their prayers. In that sacred space, the villagers shifted, exchanging glances filled with a mixture of wonder and trepidation. Fear could have gripped their hearts, but instead the light ignited a new fervor within each soul. Just as the sun breaks through the clouds, may our faith shatter our doubts. Martha cried out, her voice echoing as if carried on the very winds of Geoda. As the light expanded, illuminating the faces glistening with hope, she noticed the mother at the heart of their circle, her face aglow, eyes shimmering like the stars. Martha felt a pull towards her, an instinct urging her to share even more. "God sees you, dear mother. Do you feel that? Your struggles are not in vain. In every heartfelt plea you've whispered, His ear has listened. And now He is here." With each tender word, something shifted in their gathering. Spirits began to lift higher as realization sank in. Their unity was palpable. They were not mere spectators of a storm. They were active participants in a divine play. An elderly man stepped forward, trembling with anticipation. "What if we are being called to act?" he suggested, his voice weathered but resonant. "What if in our prayers we're being inspired to do more than just ask for help? What if we are meant to rise together as one?" Martha's heart raced. Was it true? Hadn't they been discussing the very miracles that could arise when hearts joined as one? As if responding to the man's words, the winds shifted directions, swirling playfully among them, igniting a sense of joy that felt contagious. "Let us share our burdens," Clara interjected boldly. "Let us hold each other's challenges and lift them up to God together." One by one, the villagers took turns sharing their struggles, their fears, their heartbreaks. Each story echoed against the rising wind, each word punctuated by the thunderous response of nature. As they spoke, Martha noticed the clouds beginning to shift the darker hues of gray, replacing them with soft pastels of pink and purple. The power of vulnerability spurred the winds into motion, whipping up a current of faith and love. Unexpectedly, laughter bubbled up, a sweet relief amidst their shared grief. They were finding strength in one another, discovering miraculous beauty in their weakness. Martha opened her arms wide as she took in the moment, heart bursting with gratitude. "Look what God is doing. We are so much more than we once thought. Together we manifest His smiles." Just then, with a crack of thunder, the heavens seemed to part, and from above, an ethereal light cascaded over them, thick and warm like honey. Exclamations of awe escaped their lips, words of praise tumbling forth as the light transformed their fears into a radiant embrace. Yet, Martha sensed the storm was not finished. What next? She wondered silently, searching the eyes of her friends. What would this divine light ask of them now? As sunbeams danced with the last remnants of the storm, she felt it a pulling at her spirit. Something profound was about to unfold, a revelation of faith that would shake the very foundations of their understanding. Are you ready for what comes next? She breathed, heart racing with curiosity and excitement. The crowd collectively gasped, anticipation hanging thick in the air. What awaited them beyond their unity and this shared moment of grace? Little did they know, the next chapter of their collective journey was only beginning. Martha's heart quickened as the light enveloped their gathering. It was not just illumination but a presence that stirred the air, vibrant and alive. The humming of the breeze matched the pulse of their collective heartbeat. They were no longer separate souls, but rather a tapestry woven with threads of faith. What do you see? Clara whispered, her eyes wide with amazement. Martha looked up, still feeling that tug at her spirit. The ethereal light shimmered around them, each ray filled with vibrant colors, carrying whispers of hope. I see possibilities, she exclaimed, her voice catching like a song in the wind. A chorus of murmurs erupted among the villagers. Their eyes searched the skies, seeking more than a mere spectacle. They longed for a sign. The elderly man, emboldened, spoke again. Perhaps this is the touchstone we need. A call to action. A moment to show the world what faith can do. With every heart now aligned, the villagers knew this was not an ordinary gathering. Moved by an invisible hand, they began to rise, each person holding the courage of their faith like a banner high above their heads. They formed a circle, a physical representation of their unity. Martha, feeling the pulse of divine energy, turned to the mother, who still stood luminous at the center. What is your heart telling you right now? She asked gently. The mother hesitated, but then spoke with a clarity that cut through the tension. I feel the weight lifting. I feel lifted in love. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but they were tears of release, each drop glistening like tiny jewels reflecting the light they'd been gifted. Then let us lift one another, Clara proclaimed, stepping closer. Let us hold our struggles as sacred offerings to be transformed by the very hands of God. One by one, each villager opened their heart. Stories flowed, tales of fear, desperation, hope, and joy. As their voices resonated, they found harmony in them. The winds danced more freely, a celebration of authenticity and raw emotion. Martha closed her eyes in gratitude, overwhelmed by the sensation of love wrapping around her. Suddenly, the colors from above shifted, weaving into a mural of emotions visible to all. Celestial imagery began to swirl, the angelic forms of guardians hovering through the sky, the fragrances of blossoms, and the beat of unseen wings resonating over them. A gasp escaped from several villagers. The atmosphere was electric with divinity. Look, Clara pointed upward. We're not alone. We are seen. In that moment, something beautiful shifted within Martha. She realized that their prayers were not only heard, they were answered in ways they had never imagined. Could this be the manifestation of faith they had longed for? With renewed strength, Martha called forth the villagers one last time. Let us be vessels. Let his spark flow through us as we reach out into our world. Let us embrace the discomforts and the blessings with equal gratitude. A powerful ripple of agreement surged through the gathering. They nodded, hearts connected through their shared resolve. Their burdens transformed into strength. Each one felt empowered to step forward into the world, not with fear, but with the light of faith ignited within them. As the last echoes of their words faded into the twilight, something stirred deep inside Martha. There were still unanswered questions floating in the air, tender mysteries waiting to be revealed. Would their faith move mountains? What miracles awaited as they stepped out united? With the horizon painted in hues of hope, Martha whispered softly, "So, what do we do next? Are we ready for this new beginning?" The villagers stood poised at the dawn of something magnificent, ready to discover what God would unfold next. As the final echoes of their voices faded into the cool twilight, a stillness enveloped the gathering. The villagers stood together, their hearts beating as one, each pulse a testament to the faith that swelled within them. The ethereal light above flickered gently, as if in response to their yearning. Martha took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the crisp, fragrant air. She felt invigorated, yet a flutter of uncertainty danced in her stomach. "What comes next?" she pondered aloud. Clara turned to her, a knowing smile dawning on her face, illuminated by the remaining hues of sunset. "Perhaps we are called to act, to reach beyond ourselves," Clara replied with conviction that resonated in the gentle breeze, with newfound determination. Martha looked at the villagers, their eyes glimmering with the remnants of tears, smiles beginning to form. "What if we take our stories and our hopes into the world?" she suggested. "Imagine sharing our burdens and blessings. Showing others how faith can transform lives, we must move beyond this sacred circle." A wave of excitement rippled through the crowd, nods and murmurs of agreement swirling around like leaves caught in the wind. The older man, whose earlier words had spurred them, stepped forward once more. "You're right, dear Martha. We have felt the touch of God, and now we must spread it. Let our faith become a flame that ignites those in darkness." Together, they began to talk about how they would begin this journey. They envisioned gathering those who felt lost or alone, creating spaces where stories could be shared, where tears could flow freely, and where love could be felt in every action. Clara proposed a community evening, a chance for everyone to come, share, and find light amidst their struggles. That sense of purpose wrapped tightly around each soul present, but beneath it all was a soft whisper of doubt. Would their words truly touch lives? Could they make a difference in the wider world? These questions lingered in Martha's heart. She remembered her own struggles, the times when hope seemed faint. "What if we hold a prayer night?" she asked, courage pushing her forward. "A night to invite others to feel this light we've experienced, to give them a glimpse of love, of God, and what He has in store for all of us." The villagers were silent for a moment, processing the enormity of Martha's suggestion. Then a surge of enthusiasm rang out. "Yes, we will gather," Clara exclaimed, her voice rising above the crowd. Exhilarating and fierce as night deepened. The miraculous light swirling above began to transform, casting a luminescent glow over their circle. Stars blinked into existence overhead, as if the heavens were affirming their resolve. Martha's heart swelled. The atmosphere bristled with possibility. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that each step forward bore its own weight of challenges that might test their spirit. "Are we ready?" she asked softly, looking around at the hopeful faces. "Yes," they echoed, voices weaving together in strength. Each response became a rope binding them tighter, a promise to journey forward hand in hand. Martha felt peace envelop her again, yet curiosity pricked at her mind. Would the outreach bring both the light and love they hoped for? Or would it unearth difficulties they hadn't foreseen? The air felt electric, a divine excitement swirling around them. The gathering dissolved into laughter, talk and plans. But in the back of Martha's mind was a profound question, one that might redefine their path and beckon the divine to intervene. What miracles lay ahead as they stepped boldly into the night, and were they truly prepared to embrace the unfolding adventure of faith? The moon hung high, casting a serene beam over the village, enveloping each person in a soft embrace of light. It felt as though the night itself was listening, holding its breath in anticipation of what was to come. The villagers clung tightly to their shared hope, their hearts blossoming with the promise of tomorrow. Martha found herself wandering into the memories of moments that defined her. She recalled the nights spent in prayer, the times she felt utterly alone, and the simple joys that had illuminated her darkest days. A sense of purpose began weaving into her very being. How often had she felt the hand of God guiding her? It was time to share that exquisite light with others. Clara, noticing Martha's reflective gaze, approached her, exuding warmth. "You seem deep in thought, my friend. What stirs in your heart?" Martha turned, her eyes sparkling under the moonlight. "I think of how many people feel as lonely as I once did. How many are searching for a glimpse of hope." Each word that poured from her heart felt like a prayer, echoing in the sacred space between them. Clara nodded, her expression serious yet kind. And that is what we are meant to do, to share that light we have found, to stand as beacons for the lost. Their conversation ignited enthusiasm within Martha. With every heartbeat, the weight of their mission became clearer. They were to create a space, a sanctuary made of love, faith, and compassion, where stories of struggle and joy intertwine like vines. As the arrangements continued, Martha envisioned faces of those who might join them, the weary, the broken, the hopeful. The thought sent chills of excitement down her spine. She longed for the moment they would gather and open their hearts like flowers unfurling toward the sun. Days passed. The community evening grew closer, and the villagers buzzed with excitement. Yet, with this anticipation, shadows of doubt crept around the edges of Martha's mind. What if no one came? What if they faced adversity, obstacles that seemed insurmountable? On the night of their gathering, the small community hall hummed with nervous energy. Flickering candles cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating an atmosphere of warmth. Each face represented a story, a life intertwined with struggles and faith. Emily, the baker's wife, sat with trembling hands, her fears evident despite her smile. Martha took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their expectations. "Remember who we are, where we have come from," she began, her voice steadying. "Tonight isn't just about us. It's about welcoming each other, bearing one another's burdens, and most importantly, inviting God into our midst." As she spoke, a hush fell over the room, the kind that allowed spirit to seep in a delicate silence filled with potential. Then, something shifted. A spark ignited within the space, an energy that coursed through them like a river. Faces brightened, hearts beat a little faster, and the very essence of unity wrapped itself around them. Martha encouraged everyone to share their stories, their challenges. One by one, each soul spoke. Tears were shed, laughter bubbled forth, and hands reached out in empathy, igniting connections that had been waiting for such an opportunity to flourish. In that sacred communion, they understood something profound: love, when shared, multiplies. Each confession, each unburdening, unveiled the miraculous transformation of pain into purpose. Yet, even in the midst of this beautiful tapestry woven from their stories, a single thought lingered like an unanswered question. What if they faced trials not just in the world outside, but within their own hearts? As the last story faded into the night, whispers filled the air, a shared recognition that this was merely the beginning. Their journey had stretched far beyond the confines of the evening and deep into the realms of the unfamiliar. Martha looked into the eyes of each villager, wondering what their collective faith would bring forth next. If love could spark such transformation, what miracles waited patiently to unfold around them? As the candles ceased their dance, and the moon cast its final glow, an undeniable question lingered in the air. How far would their faith have to stretch before they discovered the true depth of God's grace? Martha stood still as the echoes of shared stories faded into the night, her heart a tapestry woven with the threads of hope and courage. She marveled at the strength that pulsed through the room, each villager reflecting a flicker of light that illuminated the path forward. As they sat in the gentle glow of candlelight, Martha felt the sacred atmosphere shift, as if the very walls of the hall held their whispers and prayers. "Look around," she said softly, her voice threaded with tender awe. "This is the body of Christ, alive in our midst. We have prayed and shared together, and I believe God is stirring something powerful within us." A murmur of agreement washed over the gathering, their eyes wide with expectancy. Clara reached for Martha's hand, her grip firm. "It's time to step out. We can't keep this light to ourselves. This faith, it's meant to shine." With renewed purpose, Martha rose, taking a deep breath, her spirit ignited. Tonight is just the beginning of what God wants to do through us. We need to reach out to those who feel lost. Let our community expand beyond these walls and into the very hearts of those yearning for hope. The room erupted into quiet excitement. A chorus of ideas flowed, each voice igniting a spark of inspiration. Together, they envisioned a movement, an outreach of love, a commitment to share their testimonies, a network of support woven into the fabric of their community. They spoke of prayer groups that would gather weekly, of events to share stories of hope in public spaces to uplift those who felt isolated. In the days that followed, the villagers rallied. They printed flyers filled with inviting words of encouragement, set up prayer stations in the square, and planned a community dinner where everyone would be welcome, where they could eat together and share their hearts. Martha felt her heart brim with joy as she organized every detail, her excitement contagious. Yet, even in this bliss, shadows of uncertainty tugged at the edges of her mind. Could they hold onto this fervor when faced with trials? Would their faith stand firm in adversity? One evening, just before the community dinner, a storm brewed on the horizon. Dark clouds hung low, threatening to unleash their fury. Martha stood by the church window, watching as the winds danced against the trees. Fear coiled in her stomach. She whispered a prayer, "Lord, don't let our dreams falter in the chaos." As the villagers gathered that night, the storm's presence loomed heavier. Yet amidst the uncertainty, a sense of unity pulsed fiercely in the air. Martha took a deep breath and stepped to the front. "Friends," she began, her voice resolute, "tonight, we face not just the weather, but whatever trials lie ahead. This gathering is a testament to the light we carry within us. Even if the storm roars, let it not stir our spirits. We are here to become a sanctuary." The villagers nodded, murmurs of agreement filling the space, their hearts entwined in a collective resolve. They began to share stories of overcoming, reminiscing on moments when faith had flooded their lives with light. With every recounting, the storm outside seemed to lose some of its potency. Laughter erupted, a joyful defiance that echoed through the hall, drowning out the chaos beyond. Suddenly, the storm broke open outside, rain pouring down like cleansing tears. The sound was deafening, but within the church things only grew brighter. Martha noticed not one face turned away, but every person leaned in closer to one another. "Look, God is washing away our fears," she exclaimed. Minutes turned into hours as they shared, prayed, and even sang. Each song rose like an offering, each prayer a bridge to the heavens. With each passing moment, Martha felt the walls of apprehension crumble, revealing a depth of community she hadn't fully realized before. Then, as if in perfect harmony with their resolve, the storm shifted. The rain slowed to a soft drizzle, and a brilliant beam of light burst through the clouds, flooding the room with warmth. Someone gasped, pointing towards the door. A glimmering rainbow stretched across the sky, a promise of hope. The villagers erupted in joyful praise, hands lifted, hearts humming with gratitude. "Look what God has done," Clara cried, tears of joy streaking down her face. "This is the manifestation of our faith." Martha smiled, overwhelmed with emotion. "And it symbolizes that even amidst the storms, His love prevails. We are not alone. We are family, forged in trials but strengthened in grace." In that moment, they understood storms may come and go, but their collective faith, their love woven tightly together, would weather any tempest. They were not simply a community. They were a movement, a living testimony to the healing power of shared faith. As the night wore on, Martha reflected on the journey that had brought them all here. What had begun as a flicker of hope had blossomed into a radiant flame, illuminating the wider world. She knew in her heart, God's favor was not just a promise to be claimed, but a call to action. "Let us commit ourselves to this journey, hand in hand," she announced, her heart swelling with joy. "Together we are stronger. Together we shine brighter. It's time to take this light into the world." The villagers erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring higher than the rainbow outside. They joined hands, forming a circle, each heart pulsating in sync as they prayed together, an unyielding promise to show the world the depths of God's grace, love, and unity forged through faith. And Martha, grateful and transformed, understood that their true journey had only just begun. Now is the time, brothers and sisters. You need to subscribe now to stay updated with these exclusive faith stories that can change lives. Don't just stand by, leave a like now to help this message reach more hearts. Comment your thoughts and testimonies about this powerful ending below, because your voice matters, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation in their lives. Don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God can grasp the importance of spreading this light. Let us keep the faith alive.